Welcome back to the 1009 podcast. We took a slight little break for 4th of July, enjoy that whole week, even though some of us worked, some of us played, Grayson. Um, I'm currently joined by Grayson. It's another dynamic duo start for this episode. I believe Jacob will be joining us later on. If it was early, he'd be in this. But yeah, how you been?
Been good. Made some new friends with Highway Patrol over the fourth weekend. That was fun. Watched what felt like 10 Angels losses in one weekend. That was also fun. But at least one of our teams is doing well, and we got some good news for the Braves as usual.
Oh, yeah. Well, they're currently not doing great, losing 2-0 to the Mets in a pivotal series. It's a Max versus Max night, so Max Scherzer is currently getting the upper hand. So we'll see how that plays out for a little bit. But Robinson Cano just got his first hit as he got traded to the Braves yesterday and immediately started. So it was either I said earlier, either he was going to go 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts or like 3 for 4 with a home run and three RBIs. So I'm looking right now, but that's bound to change quickly.
It's just mind games. Nothing better.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what that was, especially after the Mets had a couple guys go down to the IL and one's on the paternity list. So good to see AA's messing with the Mets again. But yeah, I mean the Braves have had a pretty good June and July. That hot streak in July or June kind of rolled into July. We won the first series of the month against the Reds, 2 out of 3, and then took 3 out of 4 against the Cardinals in a pretty impressive week. Our boy Strider just looked like an absolute stud against them. First 9 outs were strikeouts, which is, I believe, what was it, a record for the Braves?
Yeah, it was a team record, and I think he had tied the record set by, I believe, Pablo Lopez last year at 9 to start a game. So, yeah, historic start. And more ways than one, too, because he got to 100 strikeouts in his career. This is his technically second season in the bigs, but fastest to 100 strikeouts in a season ever. And as far as career goes, only Craig Kimbrell did it faster. So, I mean, just strikeout machine, 33 in his last 2 starts with 1 run wasn't earned. And I believe 12 total innings of near scoreless baseball for the Braves.
Yeah, what he's doing right now is just it's unheard of, and it's just impressive because, I mean, he's basically a 2-pitch pitcher. I mean, he has that changeup where he's able to get it over sometimes, but he still just relies heavily on that fastball and then that slider. But for some reason, those guys, they can't catch up to that slider. I was listening to a podcast today that they were talking about like the release point of his pitch, and it's like coming out at like 5.9 or something like that, and it has rise and like it has rise, and the hitters aren't used to that. So that's kind of like what's contributing to him being able to blow that fastball by him. And I mean, it's a fast fastball. He obviously had the fastest pitch for a starter at 102. I think last start or 2 starts ago. Yeah,
against St. Louis, I believe. Yeah.
So like, I mean, yeah, it's not like it's just fast. Like they just can't hit it.
Right.
No one's yet to really figure him out except for that rough start against the Giants. But I mean, those are going to come and go during the season. So I mean, he's still a rookie, so.
Right. I mean, Hunter Green gets all the press for the velo, as he should, because he's throwing 35, 40 pitches, touching 100. But, I mean, a guy in his class as well, Spencer Strider's doing it, and he's got that nasty slider. I wonder if that is one of the better pitches in the league overall as far as whiff rate and getting guys to swing and miss on that, because he goes to it when he needs it, and we see it start after start. It's not catching bats at all.
It's got to be. I mean, if we had our analytical mind with us currently, he'd probably be able to tell you off the top of his head too, because he's a Strider analytical mind. But he's definitely just one of the top just pitchers in general. Obviously, like probably the best rookie pitcher right now.
Absolutely.
It's close to, who knows, the Braves might have the top 2 rookie of the year candidates easily.
I mean, they do in Vegas right now.
I mean, O'Neal Cruz. I mean, O'Neal Cruz is making a push, but he might have started a little too late based off the starts that Strider and Michael Harris have gotten. Yeah. I mean,
I checked this morning for the podcast, recording on a Monday, the 11th, and prior to today's action, Strider plus 190, Michael Harris plus 300, and then O'Neal Cruz plus 400. A pretty clear top three odds-wise for that Rookie of the Year award. So I think that's a 3-horse race. I think we're to the point in the season that, anybody called up now is really getting too late of a jump. Even like you said, Cruz probably. I mean, he's doing incredibly well for the Pittsburgh Pirates, but I think just when he got called up is going to hurt him more than anything.
Yeah. And it's also that market he's in. I mean, he's not going to get as much TV time and media involvement, kind of. I mean, Michael Harris is killing. He's batting .298. His on base is .329, slugging .517, OPS .846 for a rookie. I about said freshman, but for a rookie who skipped AAA,
right?
Like, he's doing it at the plate, and then he's probably already the best center fielder. I don't know his exact runs saved and all that crazy stuff, but I know it's up there. He's making insane catches. His jumps are incredible, but it's going to be interesting to see how it comes down. Who's going to have the better second half of the season? It's basically going to be a toss-up.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd be at this point where we sit now. If it's not one of those two Braves, I'd be pretty surprised. I mean, I know Cruz has been doing well, like we've said, the day he got called up pretty much. But, I think that award runs pretty safely through Atlanta as we have about a week left before the All-Star break.
And I was saying something about this the other day in the group chat. The MLB needs a pitcher Rookie of the Year and a bat fielder guy Rookie of the Year. I mean, because the NFL has a defense and offensive Rookie of the Year. Like, we're stopping baseball. I mean, because basketball is five. Like, it's a little different with basketball, but baseball, I mean, there's nothing stopping it. It's probably the easiest thing to do. Just add a pitcher Rookie of the Year, offensive Rookie of the Year, whatever.
Right. Because, I mean, even in the AL, it's J-Rod and no one else right now. I think you want to add some intrigue to, both leagues, honestly. You make a position player award, that Harris versus Cruz race is a key one to watch, and then you got some pitchers in the AL that could make some noise. I'm trying to think.
Rookie AL pitchers are there?
Yeah, that's looking like J-Rod. Hopefully he stays healthy through the second half, but he's been electric for Seattle. And again,
is he an
a little
All-Star?
bit varied by the market. He's not. He could be. I would imagine he's on the short list to be added, but I don't think he is.
Them and the Orioles have kind of been turning it on here recently.
Yeah.
You want to talk about that?
No, I don't.
Why not?
We are half of the Baltimore Orioles 8-game win streak. I'll just leave that there.
You don't want to get any more into it? You positive?
I played the Orioles on the show and won 18-2. So as far as I'm concerned, that was the score yesterday. I think the Orioles got halfway to 18 on us. But we need to unfire Joe Madden and have a seance in the clubhouse or something, or fire the pitching and hitting coaches, something. I mean, the only glimmer of hope I have right now is that Trout and Ohtani are healthy. We might get David Fletcher back around the end of the month. Archie Bradley, our fight specialist.
Trout healthy?
They don't let him run anymore, but he's playing. That's the important thing. Not getting hit on the hands again. Not getting thrown out anymore. Rendon took care of that. But I don't check the standings anymore. I think we're 11 or 12 games under 500, and whatever time we had in that first group of AL wildcard contenders has came and went. We are now behind about a half dozen teams fighting for those now 3 spots. So like the entire AL East is near the top. I know Toronto's been slipping a bit as well lately, but I mean,
they're tied with The current wildcard standings in the AL is Boston's 2.5 up, Tampa's 1 up, Seattle, Toronto are tied, and Baltimore is 2 games back, which is just impressive for the Orioles. Considering, I don't think anybody thought them to be worth a damn from that division this year.
No, I mean, that if you had odds on them finishing last in that division, it was probably like minus 600, and they still very well could. But yeah, they're over 500 thanks to the Angels.
Yeah, the wild card's interesting this year because they added an extra spot. So I mean, you could look at a team getting in a division getting in 4 teams theoretically in the playoffs. Because I mean, the AL East has a chance at that. I mean, the NL East, if it were to end today, there'd be 3 NL East teams.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I bet it'll play out where it'll probably be 2, 1, whatever, depending on the rest of the season.
Yeah, I really, I mean, I've been struggling, but I think Toronto, if they don't, I mean, I had them win the World Series preseason, so it's safe to say I might have overshot it on them this year. I mean, Montoya's seat might be getting warm. I mean, you have all this talent. Pitching hasn't really been as consistent as maybe expected with the names they've got there, but I mean,
Kevin Gausman's been about it for him.
Right. And with experience in a one-man deep rotation, that's just not going to work.
Yeah, it's nice to have 4 solid guys you can throw out there in the game and basically guarantee you 5 solid.
We have a 6-man, and we get Ohtani, who hadn't given up a run in 4 starts, and then one of the 3 of Sandoval, Thor, and Michael Lorenzen will give us a good start per trip around the rotation. We got Suarez, and then soon to be apparently Reed Detmers coming back up to the big leagues to get another crack at a second no-hitter.
Yeah, 2 strikeouts. He's going to throw 3 strikeouts this time.
Yeah, we had Chase Silseth back up, and we sent him back Double-A today. So I think it's all signs pointing
bring Joe Adele back up.
He's actually hitting beach balls in Triple-A. He's doing better. I wouldn't be surprised. There was a stretch there he wasn't even playing every day down in Salt Lake, but I think he's kind of come around that corner, and he's been swinging the bat well. I know defensively, maybe not. I haven't seen many metrics, but I saw a couple of catches he's made in the weeks he's been down there that maybe there's improvement there too. So, hopefully not due to injury, but it'd be good to see him back up, at least get another crack at it. At this point, throw the kitchen sink at it and see what happens.
Yeah. Speaking of basically touted minor league prospects and the Braves got rid of Drew Waters today.
Yeah, I mean, cutting bait.
Yeah, I mean, they traded for a prospect, Andrew Hoffman, who I haven't read much about, but I'm assuming he's got to be good. They got a 3rd minor leaguer and a 3rd minor leaguer to the Royals for the 35th pick this coming Sunday's draft. It's like a $2.2 million slot.
Yep.
That's kind of foreign language to me, but I mean, I don't think Alex Anthopoulos would make this deal if he didn't know what he was doing. It was just kind of like a shock because it's kind of been with Braves Twitter and Braves and all that. It's like, when is Drew Waters making that appearance? Like, he's been down there, been in AAA for I think 2 or 3 seasons now. He's yet to really come up. I mean, you've seen guys like Harris, Pache come up. They brought in like Eddie Rosario. Like, they brought in guys that you would think he could beat out, but like, he strikes out a lot. He hasn't been healthy all that much, but I mean, you hate to see a guy like that go, but at some point it's going to be like, all right, when are you making a move? Like, prove it to us. But
right. I mean, he showed this kind of not impatience, but the patience does have a limit with Pache got dealt to Oakland. So I mean, this isn't a new thing for AA. He's, you want top prospects, but at the same time, if you think there's value there, slot money's big in the draft. You need it. He felt like they might have been a bit short, didn't want to risk it. Have another situation like Kumar Rocker. Then, that $2.2 million, I think he's re-entering. I think he's draft eligible this year.
Yeah.
which we could spend 25 minutes on that. But yeah, I mean, I think if you really value the slot money, the draft at 6 days from tonight, I think that, and I think with Harris coming up and doing what he's doing, that takes the pressure off the system to produce outfielders immediately. Yeah. And I know Waters, ideally, he'd be up already. But
yeah, we got 2 cornerstone outfielders, and you can plug and play with that left fielder. I mean, Rosario, now that he can finally see, he's going to be able to contribute a good bit. If he ever plays in left field again, I'm going to start the fire Snicker campaign. That dude is probably the worst left fielder I have ever seen, even though he won a Gold Glove like 4 years ago. And then he completely tore his shoulder. But the DH coming to the NL was probably specifically made just for Marcell Ozuna, because he literally can't throw. But like I was saying, you can plug and play with Rosario and Duvall. Duvall is just one of those guys that needs to, you want him to keep having at bats, but at some point he's going to slow down. Bat gets cold, and once that bat gets cold, it kind of takes a bit for it to heat up. But we won a World Series without Drew Waters. I think we can win another one.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I mean, y'all are 16 games over 500, something that y'all didn't achieve last season with the title run, as hard as that second half got last year. So, I mean, the team was about 500 this time of year last year. So, much better starting point looking forward into the late summer stretch run sort of period of the season. But
All-Star break coming up.
What'd you think about the All-Star selections being finalized as a whole? I know the Braves sent about half dozen guys. I was a little bit surprised not to see Austin Riley, to be honest. But things changed.
Yeah, I figured he would get a reserve spot.
Right. I honestly expected it to happen too.
I know a lot of people wanted to see Dansby be a starter. I did too. I mean, but it's kind of a toss-up between him and Turner, and you figured that the fans, with the game being in LA, he probably had a little bit of upper hand. They at least wanted one starter. So you kind of figured that he would win. But I did see where Will Smith didn't get in, and Travis d'Arnaud did. Mm-hmm. And I think Will Smith had better stats than d'Arnaud, so it was kind of, hey, you got that starter, we got this guy. So, I mean, the guys that the Braves sent, they're pretty deserving. We get to see the first brother duo to start on the same team since, I want to say, 95 or something like that.
I think Wilson got added recently in the past day or so.
Wilson was started, but William got added because
I get them mixed up. That's my bad. Yeah. But that catcher duo for Atlanta, pretty potent offensively and defensively. They both are going to be all-stars, which I think is deserved. Also, obviously, Dansby, Acuna, Max Fried, and manager Snaker himself. The Angels sent.
And that's just because it wasn't World Series.
Well, I mean, that should be how it is, honestly. Yeah. We sent Trout and Ohtani. Ward, to my knowledge, has not been added yet. I think he went a little cold. You could have bet those two
at the beginning of the year.
I mean, those are pretty much locks. Ohtani got added as a pitcher again, second straight year that's happened.
I thought he was no. Jordan got the start for the DH, didn't he?
Nope. Ohtani beat him out.
So we got a pitcher and DH.
Right, and he's not going to start for the AL pitcher, obviously. Jordan's dealing with a hand issue, I believe, as well, so I'm not sure if he'll even make it out to LA for that, unfortunately. But I think Ohtani edged him on the votes, and then yesterday was added as a pitcher as well. So, his last 4 starts scoreless have pretty much given us our slim chances of winning as of late. So I think that's pretty well deserved.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Ohtani's going to be an all-star every year. If he continues to give you above average pitching and then just continues to hit, he's going to be an all-star, perennial MVP for the next 10, 15 years. Will it be with the Angels?
That's the struggle. Just real quick, MVP-wise, if you had a vote today, do you have Ohtani or Judge in the AL? I'm biased, so I'm not going to answer.
Seeing what the Yankees are doing, I got to go. Like, I got to say Judge at the moment.
I would too, just because I don't think records an end-all be-all, but I think there's a big contrast in records right now, and I think do the Yankees have this historic pace going without Judge being at this level? I don't think they do. So I think that if I had a vote right now, it'd be Judge, to be honest. Even with the time he's pitching of late, I think
it's definitely probably like a 4 or 5 game lead swing if they didn't have Judge. And who knows, we might be able to see that next year if they get rid of him.
Right. That's
So, I would go Judge. I ain't got a clue who I'd go NL right now.
I'd probably say Goldie, but that's just me taking the first name that came to mind.
Yeah, I totally forgot about Goldie after we dismantled them last week.
Well, I mean, Strider does that, so it's fine.
Yeah, Strider for MVP. Screw it. Come on, let's get that going.
I wish he was an all-star. That'd be so cool. Obviously, I know he wouldn't have started the whole year, but what he's done in single-digit starts is pretty impressive.
Yeah. I feel like if he started the whole season and went at this clip, he would
be in there.
How they wouldn't, because he'd probably be close to leading the league in strikeouts, because he'd have probably another 20 innings or so, 20, 30 innings.
I mean, even as like a middle
he leads
distance reliever, he was getting swings and misses all over the place. But no, I think
he has the best K per 9 among starters. I think he's at like 14 or something like that. It's something just outrageous.
Right. It's
he just gets swings and misses like we mentioned earlier.
Right. If you want to rank trajectories with guys, maybe not. I mean, anybody under 25, I can't think of a more meteoric trajectory than him. I mean, this time last year, we were talking minor league stats.
I think last year he was AA.
I'm trying to put together a timeline in my head because it went pretty quick once he got going.
Yeah. Because we saw him in AAA, but I think or single A. I think that was in, I want to say June.
Yeah, it was early summer.
And then I think that once we saw him in June, like the next day he got called up to AA.
Mm-hmm. So I feel like every 3 weeks he was in a different city with the Braves organization.
Until he got once he got to Gwinnett, it was kind of like all right, when you coming up?
Right, and he did for those 2 games last year, but still a rookie, obviously.
Yeah. So. Yeah, that's that's kind of been the past couple weeks in baseball. I mean, it seems like no fights this time. At least I don't think nothing crazy went on.
No fights.
In dugouts.
No.
But one thing that's getting hot is realignment in the old college football.
Power 5 is dying right in front of our eyes.
Yeah, it's about to become the Power 2.
The ESPN and the Fox conference. I think we're headed to now. Geographically, it's going to be atrocious, but
it already is. I mean, people already probably saw that because it's been about a week and a half or so. But in case you didn't, living under a rock, Southern Cal and UCLA are leaving the Pac-12 to join the Big Ten. So that means they could literally play games in Piscataway, New Jersey against Rutgers. What? Why? It's just mind-boggling that they would join that. Like, I know it's for the money and all, but why? Just why?
Yeah, I'm just thinking about all those sports that don't fly either private or just any kind of air transportation to their contests.
Chartered, yeah.
And I mean, I forget the exact start point and destination point, but I think it was either USC or UCLA to the westernmost Big Ten programs, and I don't know which one they chose, but it's a 41-hour drive.
Yeah, I think that was from Rutgers to.
Was it?
I think it was Rutgers to. It's basically a cross-country drive. Like,
that's literally what it is. I mean,
for football, that equipment truck would have to leave like on Tuesday to get there by Friday.
Yeah, because
there's no way they're going to pack that many days ahead of time. Like,
no. Just logistically, it sounds like a nightmare, but that they don't think about equipment trucks when they do these deals. They think about
No.
TV money and
TV deals and money.
Getting that NIL budget as fat as you can. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I thought Southern Cal had a big chance to take over the West, and we've seen it kind of falter with Oregon being down by their own standards and Southern Cal obviously being, I mean, the Texas of the West lately. So I thought they would really, with all the new talent and the money, obviously with NIL. And I'm forgetting his name. Wow. Their new head coach, stolen from the Oklahoma Sooners. Yeah, Lincoln Riley, excuse me. And just really build a dynasty out there. Nobody could touch recruiting-wise. I mean, you got a stranglehold on California pretty much off the bat, I feel like, with what's going on with that program.
Yeah.
Momentum-wise. And now they're like, no, we want Ohio State on the schedule.
Yeah.
That blows my mind.
They were set up to run the Pac-12, but we all know the Pac-12 is like, I mean, it's been slowly dying for years now. It doesn't help that their late games start at 10:30 East Coast time.
Right.
I mean, no one really is going to stay up after watching football since 12 p.m.
Right. It's white noise, honestly. I mean, Pac-12 after dark is great. We get some wild games and crazy finishes, but I mean, those are wrapping up 12:31 in the morning. So that's not going to really.
Our situations in college, like,
right.
There's no shot I was staying up unless I was out.
No, unless we were all that we're off and we're just happen to be at home. Then
yeah. But I don't think I ever watched really many Pac-12 games.
I remember having a lot of Pac-12 games on. I wouldn't say I was watching them though. I mean, it's just it's the last college football of the weekend, so you're gonna have it on TV for a week. But I
think I watch Pac-12 when they're playing, like when Oregon played Ohio State. Like I watch that game.
Right.
I'll watch when Oregon plays Georgia this year. I mean, if it's like 3:30 and they're on, or 3:30 to 6, whenever those times starts, I'll watch them. But like 10:30, nah.
And it's always like Washington State and Oregon State. So I mean, it's
not like the games are that appealing either.
No. I mean, the first question a lot of people asked is, okay, there's two more dominoes. We had Oklahoma and Texas move east about 11 months ago.
Geographically, that makes somewhat.
Right, that's a little bit more defensible from the geography standpoint. But now, some odds got posted over the weekend of who's next to make a jump. Notre Dame independent now after the COVID year in the ACC. They're the favorites with Oregon to make the leap to the Big Ten next, followed by Washington and Kansas, which that must be a basketball thing because football-wise, it makes a lot of sense. And then SEC-wise, you could probably guess it's Clemson, followed closely by Miami and Florida State, and then a little bit more longer odds, Louisville, Baylor, Oklahoma State, and Cincinnati, which I don't think any of those 7 or 8 would surprise me from an SEC standpoint. But, I mean, if the ACC, I think it's just like any other conference we've seen lose the top 2 or 3 schools. I think once those big dominoes fall, those small schools can't get left or stuck in the conference after it's pretty much folded. Because then,
unless the ACC goes out and reaches out for more people.
Right. I mean, I think if they could snag Notre Dame and maybe like West Virginia, something like that, they'd be a lot better off. But that's a lot easier said than done. They've been trying to get Notre Dame in for half a decade now, and it hadn't happened. So
a lot of people say go after West Virginia. But
apparently it almost happened a while ago, and Duke and North Carolina voted no, so it ultimately did not happen. I forget the year exactly, but
of course those two did.
Right, I think it was over academics or something like that.
ACC.
Right, but so I mean that's been in motion before. Same thing, Notre Dame. Of course, they were with the ACC in 2020 during the COVID year, just to get games on the schedule, things like that. Which worked out well for us, I would say. Just not in South Bend back when DJ was the next elite Clemson quarterback. But that seems like a lot longer than 18 months ago.
Yeah. That felt like I feel like I was still in school for that, but obviously we weren't.
Right.
Conference realignment. I believe at some point it's going to be college football. It's on. entity, business, or organization, whatever you want to call it. It's going to pull away from the NCAA. I mean, because the NCAA doesn't even own the playoffs. Like, it's going to be college football, and then everybody else is going to be under the NCAA.
Right. That may even separate, league tier wise as far as the NFL is concerned, something like that. And I think college sports are always evolving, but I think the NIL being ushered in has just added jet fuel to the fire and just sped the whole process up by, maybe decades at this point. But because now the table flipped, everything under the table is now on top of the table, and these guys are making deals left and right, and that's a big recruiting tool now, which you can actually publicly do. So I think hopefully they get it figured out. It's kind of still like the Wild West. We've heard that phrase a lot. And, crazy things happen in the Wild West, as we've seen with the two premier programs of two Power 5 conferences leaving outright and looking for greener pastures, greener meaning money mostly.
That's all it's a business now. Everything's all about the money.
Right, exactly.
So, only time will tell. There's going to be more that comes out, more rumors, like we said. More teams are going to get linked to conferences.
Right.
Will it actually happen? Who knows?
Did you see the speaking of rumors with this stuff? There's a story broken by Braden Keefe rattling off a list of schools, including Virginia, that were actively talking to the SEC to try and join them as well. Usual suspects like Clemson included in that list too. He is linked to Swam News, but people saw a blue check mark and a guy that, is a reporter and took it and ran 100 miles an hour with it. So for several hours across Twitter and social media, a lot of people thought, okay, here we go. Like, this isn't going to be every year thing. It's going to be every week now. Teams start jumping ship. But of course, unfortunately, the Swam News guy did not quite have it right. And there were several people quickly coming out to refute different portions of what he was trying to leak. Yeah. So,
I bet he's obviously like a swimming reporter or whatever.
Right. He's involved in college athletics. It's just not football. At least not directly.
I bet he'd probably maybe had heard something like a swim coach had said, like, oh yeah, maybe like we could be joining SEC. No. Like, you're sorry, but swimming is not a top priority for any
I don't think Clemson hasn't reinstated swimming and diving, have they?
I
know they dropped it around the time we started.
Before then. I think it was like a year, and then they dropped it. I barely even remember.
It was around 2016 or 2015 maybe when that got dropped, and we have yet to see it come back. But yeah, swimming, every other sport, really, it's not the big three, and basketball, baseball, and obviously football. I think logistic-wise and just planning travel is all going to get a whole lot worse. And obviously, those athletes don't represent a large part of the pie of the NIL. I feel
like soccer is slowly getting there. Like, soccer's kind of picking up some steam.
Yeah, I'd agree. There's a lot of momentum with that. Yeah, absolutely. But even then, I'd be stunned if the number of soccer teams on flights is anything more than maybe the top schools that have budgets and they're actually making money, as opposed to some southern schools, they depend on football to cover that.
I was just gonna say, like, it'd be interesting to see teams like outside of football, like going into basketball, like North Carolina, Duke, like them playing in the SEC, like stuff like that. It'd just be interesting to see the different kind of matchups you could get from that.
Yeah, lost in the football talk, UCLA is going to be in the Big Ten as a basketball program, arguably the most successful all time. That was one that it took me.
And Southern Cal's no slouch either.
No, absolutely not. They just had Evan Mobley come through. That's an up-and-coming program.
Yeah.
Perennially in the NCAA tournament. The Big Ten's already one of the better conferences in the country when it comes to basketball. So that was something that once we all kind of got over the football implications, it's like, wow, okay, this ripple effect extends far beyond the football field.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean that move kind of really doesn't affect baseball that much.
No, I wouldn't say so either.
No, like once you see SEC, ACC, Big 12 start moving, all three sports get kind of interesting to see the possible matchups and all that. So, like we said, only time will tell. So we shall wait and see.
Right. Yes, more football news in the league above college and the NFL. Just a lot of just very weird week for quarterback news. Most of it off the field with Zach Wilson and his ex-girlfriend and allegations by her of things off the field that lit Twitter on fire in a matter of, I would say, seconds. I know Jack Mack over at Barstool did some little investigative reporting that actually got Zach Wilson to DM him, begging him to take it down, which, as you can attest to, once a viral video gets up, there's nothing you can do about it. So
yeah, you're shit out of luck. You might as well just admit to it and take the punches.
Yeah,
so just ignore that.
You're throwing a water bottle on a forest fire at that point, and unfortunately, he's finding that out the hard way.
In case you missed that too, I mean, we didn't really say what it was. It was Zach Wilson's girlfriend. They broke up. It ended up people noticing that his ex-girlfriend dated his best friend from BYU.
Childhood best friend.
Yeah. Someone basically tried to call him or call her a homie hopper. Then she dropped a bombshell saying that he's a homie hopper, hopping to his mom's best friend or something like that. Like,
right.
Who knows how much of that is true, but boy, is that allegation.
Yeah, and the BYU mascot being a cougar didn't help much.
I didn't even think about that. So this has got to be throwing the Mormons for a loop right now.
Right. I mean, it's pretty slow in the NFL world right now. So any kind of news like this, it gets. Now, if this was like week 4 of the NFL season, it really would probably be in and out of the news cycle in a day. But here we sit in the middle of July, not a lot going on in the NFL. So little things getting blown up. Speaking of that, Baker Mayfield, apparently, there were some reports about, his teammates. Brand new Panthers QB1.
Yeah. Hadn't talked about that since the last podcast. Basically got him for nothing.
Conditional fifth maybe?
Yeah.
I would say that's a very good move for the Panthers.
Low risk, high reward, basically.
Right. With Sam Darnold, but actually with a good quarterback this time. I still believe in Baker. I think injuries were kind of minimized as part of his struggles. I think he's shown that he can be a competent and much more than that quarterback in the league. The AFC North's no cakewalk. The weather, the teams, the defenses, things like that. I think he'll do well in Carolina. A little bit softer schedule, I would imagine, as well. So, healthy competition with him and Darnold to be expected in the coming weeks. But I'd be pretty shocked if healthy Baker's not walking on the field to start week 1.
He's got a similar security blanket with, he's got a similar security blanket. He had Chubb. He's got McCaffrey. If McCaffrey can stay healthy,
Chuba
he's got
as well.
Chuba started to show off last year towards the end of the season. He's got a for sure weapon with DJ Moore. Who knows if Robbie Anderson is going to actually end up staying, or is he going to go be the third member? He's going to go be the third member of the Island Boys, but he was talking about trade rumors. I don't know. He got terrible last year.
He had an Instagram comment booing an Instagram rumor about a trade months ago, and that's pretty, I think, meaningless in the grand scheme of things. But
I think any team should cut a player who doesn't know what kind of mascot they have. That's just me personally speaking.
That's very fair. That's pretty much what he's known for at this point in his career. I mean, obviously, he's a talented receiver, maybe not the most consistent, but I think the QB play of Baker Mayfield will only serve to help him in his own career, hopefully staying with the Panthers. The reason Baker's in the news after the trade is apparently they had a Christmas Day matchup with the Packers, a pretty close 24-22 Packers win. But that week leading up, Baker's on the COVID list and couldn't be with the team. But they had hope he would be able to play on Sunday, which he was. They sent him the game plan, the playbook. Here's what we're going to do. Kind of figure it out on your own, get some studying in, get ready for Sunday. Hopefully we'll have him. They did have him. He played. He threw 4 interceptions. They lost a turnover battle 4-0 and lost by 2 points. So you can pretty much kind of connect those dots and say that, those extra possessions probably, very well could have put them over the top. But the week leading up to the game, he apparently was playing Halo in excess of 10 hours a day. And there was a tweet that was uncovered on Christmas Eve of this past year, 2021. Just random person saying, I just played 10 games of Halo with Baker Mayfield, and he added me on, I'm assuming, PlayStation, Xbox, Halo, whatever, seeming to corroborate the rumors that Baker was putting in work on Halo and not the playbook. And then he went out and threw 3 first-half interceptions and then another one to ice the game just under a minute left around midfield. So, down 2 minute left at the 50-yard line, you're pretty close to kicking range, and he had a 30-10 interception. But I think
correlation is definitely there.
Right. You can kind of, and again, not that guys can't cut loose and do whatever, given they're prepared for games. But if that's going on and the team gets wind of it, and then that's the product on the field, then I could definitely see how a divide may start with, coaches, even players, obviously, because in the NFL, it takes one guy not doing his job, and the whole thing can derail, and that isn't limited to quarterbacks either. So, that definitely makes a lot of sense.
You see a bunch of guys they stream during the season. NBA, you got people. I think Towns is a big one. There's a bunch of them that are big, like baseball, like Trevor May. He's always streaming. Granted, he's hurt right now, but he's always streaming during the season. Like, there's guys that they can handle the ability, like they can handle the time management of streaming for a couple hours, but still make sure they get their work in. 10 hours a day is that might be a little excessive. I don't know the truth behind all the number,
that's true too. Even with COVID, that's that's a lot. It's work-life balance, like with anything in sports or not. And clearly that scale was tipped towards Halo that holiday weekend before they went out. And I forgot how close that game really was. I went through drive by drive and kind of looked at, when the picks happen. And that last one, like I said, a first down away from thinking about a field goal to win the game. And that fourth pick pretty much ended it. I think if that's the biggest issue with Baker off the field, you're going to be okay with him.
You can fix that.
There's far worse things that have happened.
Now, does he, with him coming to Carolina, do they give him his new house in the stadium with Hulu? Are they gonna have like a moving special commercial or what?
If that's the way they keep him off of an Xbox, then I would say do it.
Oh my God! Did you see all the tweets last season of him? Maybe he needs to focus less on commercials during the season. And focus on do you realize that they probably do the majority of those during the off season?
Right, those are not happening on the vet off days. That's well before the season. There's a lot of editing and things goes into that anyway.
That's why Twitter is a great place, but also just one of the dumbest websites of all time.
You can say anything, but also you can say anything. So, double-edged sword there. QB news on the field, though. Also, a guy looking for a new home. Jimmy Garoppolo to Seattle is apparently gaining steam as the Seahawks are stuck without a dance partner at QB. It would seem that QB room at the moment looks like Drew Lock and Geno Smith. If they have a third one, I don't know who it is off the top of my head. But
Geno is still a thing? Good
Lord. That is the worst quarterback room in the league. There's no way to put it. Obviously, that's still a pretty elite fraternity to be a part of. You're an NFL quarterback. But if you're stacking up the 32 quarterback rooms at present, that is the worst one in the league. And I think Jimmy Garoppolo is not going to bring that Seattle team to a Super Bowl, but he might bring them out of, winless Lions territory. I think that a veteran presence at a position like that, I know Gino's not young anymore, but he's had his flashes as well. But I think a much more stable presence in Garoppolo if he can stay healthy. And I mean, worst case doesn't work out. I think Drew Lock does have potential. I don't see him as a top 5 QB ever, but I think you could be worse than that and still win plenty of games.
Pump the brakes a little bit.
No,
maybe top 20.
Right, his ceiling is not up there with an Allen, a Herbert, Jackson, guys that have come up recently. But
his ceiling may not even be single digits.
I mean, Seattle has a lot more problems at quarterback also, to be clear. So even if they had an elite quarterback, that's probably still not a playoff team. But I mean, as we saw with an elite quarterback, they missed the playoffs. But Russ Wilson was hurt last year, but
Russ bus.
One of the 40 Pro Bowlers to enter the AFC West outside of my Chargers, because why not?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you still got a MVP candidate, so y'all are gonna be fine.
Oh, I mean, our roster
got a couple.
We got Khalil Mack and J.C. Jackson, and a couple other good signs this offseason. But to watch Devontae Adams and Russell Wilson walk in your division is it's
that's
not
true.
fun.
And when you still have Pat Mahomes and Kelsey.
Right. So we have 3. I think Russ is top 5 when he's healthy, but he's on the decline probably. But.
Yeah. Hey, we were the first team to 3-0 last year. Keep pounding, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, the Angels were 27-17. So.
Yeah. What a team that is. So we'll probably have more NFL talk once we slowly get to once football season starts to roll on. I think we're within 50 days of college football. So.
Yeah, we're within 2 months, so it's almost around the corner.
Labor Day weekend.
Quickly, Heinz Field has been the name of the Steelers' home for 2 decades, essentially our entire lifetimes, and that lease will not be renewed by them apparently, and it will be picked up for the next 15 years by Acrisure, which is a Michigan-based insurance brokerage firm, which makes absolutely no sense. I immediately thought to Staples Center, that naming rights going to Crypto.com, which I don't think in conversation called it Crypto.com Arena more than maybe twice because no one knows what you're talking about.
I still think Staples Center.
Right, and we're still going to think Heinz Field, obviously. So I don't even know from a marketing standpoint why an out-of-state – it must be a regional thing. I've never heard of the company. An out-of-state insurance company, who I'm assuming has some ties to Pennsylvania in some way.
Yeah.
But
whatever
that costs, it can't be worth it.
All the names of all these sport venues, they're starting to get more just no relation to the team Miller Park. It's whatever.
That's
Great American, not Great American. Great Century, I think. Something like they're these big businesses that have the money that want their names out there. So
I mean, Truist as well. Yeah.
I mean, I had no choice because it was SunTrust Park, but SunTrust and BB&T merged to Truist.
That's true too. Right.
So that one kind of it's a little different than Turner Field used to be. So
right, that's true too.
Max Scherzer's dealing right now, and I am not happy about it.
Is it still 2-0 bad guys?
Yeah, and I think he has 1 hit, and it's I think he's only up to 70 pitches through 6. So.
Wow, that's yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
not ideal.
One of the 4 with 100 strikeouts. I'm not too surprised by that, to be honest with you.
Yeah. So.
But a little bit more off-season news. Switching to NBA briefly. Speaking of number 1 picks on the move, DeAndre Ayton has been a foot out the door in Phoenix for a couple months now, but the latest rumor today from Brian Windhorst is that this was this morning, headed to the Pacers in some form of sign and trade agreement. He said it would happen today. It's 9:15 Eastern. I've yet to be made aware of it, so I jumped the gun a bit, but the Pacers was not the destination I had in mind.
I was sitting there looking at your notes saying it's heading to Indy. I'm sitting here thinking, What NBA team is in Indiana? I could not, or Indianapolis, Indiana. I could not think of it to save my life. I'm sitting here thinking like, and then you said Pacers. I'm like, okay, that makes sense.
The Fever, obviously.
He's going from a playoff team to rebuilding team.
They're not really, because I mean they have Halliburton now, who's he's a very good player, but I don't think he's quite ready to be on a true contending team. Start out in Sacramento, obviously that wasn't an issue, but they still have Miles Turner, but you would think that maybe he would be involved in this trade in some way. So I don't know if that would take a third team to take him or not, but seemingly Indiana swapping out pieces to get a bit younger. They did give us a bonus to get Tyrese Halliburton, which was odd at the time because Tyrese Halliburton is one of maybe the only very talented player that truly wanted to be in Sacramento. And they traded him less than 2 seasons into his time there. So that Kings front office continues to amaze for less than ideal reasons. But and then the second team everybody has their eyes on right now is the Brooklyn Nets. Kyrie Irving did opt into his player option. That apparently meant little with his loyalty to the franchise, especially with Kevin Durant asking for a trade, which is, I would say, unlikely. I wouldn't say impossible, but I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon just because that asking price where it stands now is, I wouldn't say ridiculous because I think Durant's worth it, but it's extremely, extremely high.
I saw a trade proposal earlier. Where was it? It was like a 4-team trade.
I mean, it honestly might take that to accumulate the draft assets and talent. They want all-stars as well. It's not just they want a Godfather draft pick package. They want current players now because they can't really blow it up, to be honest, because the Houston Rockets have all of their draft picks moving forward in the wake of the James Harden deal to bring him from Houston.
I wish I could
Brooklyn.
I wish I could find it. It was like a 4-team trade with the Nets, Lakers, Suns, and I want to say the Spurs. And it was like sending KD to the Suns, Kyrie to the Lakers, Russ to the Spurs, and like other people in between. And I'm like, good Lord.
I think Westbrook and Popovich would fight to the death when he stepped off that plane.
Is that female coach still with them?
She is not. She took a head coaching job
with
the Las Vegas Aces.
Yeah.
Who she played for during her playing career. But I'm not sure who the heir to that throne is coaching wise in San Antonio. Obviously it was her for many years, but to her credit, she had head coaching opportunities and took it. And she had ties with that team as well. Sure. So she's very well compensated, I would think. Right.
Well compensated.
Yeah, she's gonna do fine there, I think. And I mean, there's nothing I don't think stopping her from should the position come available and she gets.
I feel like if she's offered an NBA position, she probably would take it in a heartbeat.
Right, and I think I don't want to put words in her mouth.
Yeah, I can see it. I mean, I would take one. If I went to the WNBA just to get a start and then an NBA team came calling.
Right.
I'm back over there.
Yeah, I mean, there's no shame in, she's put her time in San Antonio and waited, and she had an opportunity in the interim and took it, to her credit. So I think I'd be stunned if she didn't get an interview, or at least was offered one, when Popovich does ultimately retire, which I would think,
2 or 3
years. 2 to 3, because the way San Antonio is looking right now, they just essentially admitted that they couldn't win now at all and traded DeJounte Murray to Atlanta to give him a chance to. And a trade that didn't include John Collins, which was a bit of a surprise given that he was also a guy rumored to be maybe not perfectly happy in Atlanta, but he remains there.
Speaking of guys that are ruining their look, do you see the stuff with Miles Bridges?
Miles Bridges, yeah. His NBA career, should these allegations prove to be true, is over, I think. He had an offer sheet with the Hornets at about max money on the table. They made several trades to begin the offseason to make room for that transaction, similar to the Knicks with Jalen Brunson. But just extremely disturbing domestic violence allegations with photo evidence seemingly attached to it that would indicate that he has no place in the NBA, especially not in Charlotte, who has rescinded that offer. I don't think they've come out and said it yet, but I think that, he is not getting calls from NBA teams at the moment, nor should he.
Trevor Story-esque.
Yeah. So he's was in line for a very large deserved payday from the Charlotte Hornets, and now, given that news, it's pretty much all come screeching to a halt. So
so that'll be interesting to see.
Right, and that's not something that I think gets resolved quickly. I mean, it's anything with legal proceedings is not going to happen in a matter of weeks, especially something like this. So.
I mean, look at the Deshaun Watson situation. Like, it takes a little bit.
That's years, yeah.
That's going to be interesting to see. It just dawned in my head when we were talking basketball and people wanting out or wanting new contracts.
Right, and then, I mean, early this offseason, Montrezl Harrell got pulled over crossing state lines with an amount of marijuana that I think elevated that to a felony charge. So, unfortunately for the Hornets, this has not been the offseason they envisioned. I think he's also
about that.
He's also a free agent. Yeah, Brittany Griner remains in Russia. She had a hearing recently and pleaded guilty, which I'm told was a necessity if she was going to have any kind of negotiation between diplomatic parties to get her out of Russia. But it's just a very stark reminder of cultures do not translate across the world, and they have very different values and laws with stuff. So
that was kind of like when LiAngelo Ball was stealing stuff from a mall in China, and it took like 2 weeks or something like that to get him back.
Exactly. Things like theft, and I think with Griner it was some form of vape or dab pen, something like that, which you see every day here, and it's not
slightly
really
different
taboo.
Governments over there.
Right. It's gone from taboo to mainstream in half a decade. I mean, since we've been in college. So, not the case overseas, especially in Russia. So, no traction with getting her back through diplomatic means. I don't know how long it usually takes for them to get to sentencing with these type of things, but she did plead guilty.
People think this. A lot of people are thinking this can be an instant thing. Like, why isn't she not back yet?
Right.
Prisoner exchange, whatever it is. There's there's probably a lot more that goes into it than people really think.
Right. And it's not a common thing either.
Results.
There's no fast track for these kind of things. So obviously, hopefully in the end of it, she's home safely. And, but the latest on that is she pleaded guilty apparently to, make any kind of negotiation easier, but,
it ain't going to be easier.
No, nothing about this is easy at all. But yes, we got one more segment for you guys. Trying to hold out for a couple more minutes, see if Jacob will grace us with his presence. But we were talking in our pre-pod planning call that I'll edit out before we get this to you guys. But Bailey, you mentioned some unbreakable records in sports. I think that's a good thing as we kind of continue into the baseball only days of the summer. What crossed your mind with this?
I saw something earlier today that Whit Merrifield, who had the longest active games played streak, I think at like 533 or something like that, ended today because I believe he had a toe injury that he just couldn't play on. So like the next longest streak is current Brave Matt Olson at like 230 something. So it got me thinking, like, what records are just never going to be broken ever? And starting off like game streaks, like it made me think like I doubt anybody's going to touch Cal Ripken's.
No chance.
2,632.
Right, and that tweet even mentioned Olsen would have to play until 2036 consecutively to reach that record.
Yeah.
Which is just not going to happen.
That's 12. That's 12 years, and he
Right.
signed a 6-year contract or something like that. Like,
mm-hmm.
does it count if you're a DH?
That's a good point. I feel like
you have to play the field.
I feel like if you're in the lineup, because I mean,
Yeah,
Ricken was AL, so they had it anyway, did they not?
But I think he played just because he had all those stories about.
Right.
There was those rumors that they made a power outage because he ended up in jail for beating somebody up. But yeah, there's just some records that I think of that like I doubt ever get broken.
Right.
I mean, I think Joe DiMaggio's 56 game hit streak, I think that one has a pretty good chance of getting broken. I mean, it's going to take a hell of an effort to do, but that one's probably one of the ones that's most up for grabs. Ricky Henderson's stolen base, that one's never going to get broken.
No, absolutely not. I mean, I think even as good as pitching has been lately, especially with the youngest class, I mean, that Barry Bonds single season home run record with the way they now test for what made that possible. Guys like Judge, they're not even touching that. So, I mean, that's the first one I thought of was Tiger Woods made cuts. I think it was at 100 and something, just absurd.
Yeah.
Like
that one's never
something. That's no chance. Maybe it's
because I think so many people have already. Some of the top guys have already like missed plenty of cuts too. Like
right, they still have the time left on tour to make any sort of effort towards breaking that.
Yeah, but yeah, the baseball ones were because the game. I mean, so much of the game has changed. Like, oh, Dansby just hit a home run. I lied.
What? Weight room.
Oh
no.
There's, I mean, like I was saying, there's plenty like the baseball's game has changed so much that some of those older records they're never really going to be touched. I mean, football they're breaking records left and right. Like
right, it's a lot more common.
Yeah.
I mean, Justin Herbert just broke the first 2 seasons passing TD record. The names on that list are just incredible. So I think,
And I mean, the touchdown passing records is like an active record. Like it's still being set.
Yeah, Brady and Breeze traded it for a while, and now Brady obviously continuing his career in Tampa for at least one more season as he retired comfortably for about 6 weeks.
Yeah. I think, like I was saying, baseball is probably the sport that you're going to see less records be broken because, I mean, NBA is moving to it's so offensive based too. Like their 3-point record's still being set with Curry.
Right.
Baseball is such a different. It's just different. Like I mean, offense is controlled by the pitcher, but the MLB still tries to change the way that goes with changing the balls. Like nothing's consistent, so nothing's really. And they're different athletes than they were back in the day. So like, it's more. The competitive playing field's a lot different than it was last, like when Nolan Ryan was striking out 5,000 people.
Right, exactly.
Which I don't know. I could see. Yeah, probably not that one because I think Scherzer just got to 3,000 a couple years ago. So.
I mean, we just saw a pitching record fall with Strider, the fastest 100 career strikeouts. Yeah. And it's obviously one that a lot of guys reach. Their first season in the bigs as a full-time starter, but that just goes to show that as the game evolves, the pitching is not going anywhere. It's still pretty dominant. I mean, some Hunter Green rookie records with velo might. I don't want to say never, but that's seriously difficult.
I can see velo ticking up because I mean, some of these kids are just. The game is how hard can you throw now?
Right.
I could see that, but like. I mean, some records like Babe Ruth said, but like that's just because he was playing against farmers. Like, I think his single season OPS was 1,500. Like,
right, that is what.
Yeah. I see Joe DiMaggio probably like the one that we most talking about. Joe DiMaggio's 56 games, the one that's most catchable. Because I think Ty Cobb's career batting average was 367. Like that's never happening again.
No, not with any amount of at-bats that would make that impressive. No. I mean, you mentioned Curry, too. I think as geared towards the three as the game's becoming, I don't think that we're going to see that get touched for a while just because how efficient Curry's been shooting-wise and how long he's been doing it. He has injury issues, which leaves the door open slightly, but I think it's going to take a very long time to find somebody that's able to shoot at that level for that long and approach his. Mm-hmm. He got it first, including playoffs, but then the regular season record only as well this past season. So I think, like I said, the game is definitely. I mean, they're probably gonna have 5-pointers in a couple of years at this rate. But who went yard?
Let's go, Thickums! Man, that got missed out on the All-Stars. Just took Scherzer deep. That was a shot. That dude is hot. I think he has 3 games in a row with a homer.
Well, you called it his first
NL Player of the Week.
You tried to call it his first AB.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was a couple at bats late, but.
Did you see the 1 year Annie of that Padres reliever hitting a grand slam off him last year?
Really?
Off Scherzer. I had to look it up. I was like, this can't be real. But yeah, a year ago they were down like 8-2 maybe, and some reliever came up in the 9-hole and hit a grand slam off Scherzer.
Good
like a
Lord.
Relatively a new call up too. Like kid had barely been in the bigs.
Yeah.
Bartolo style.
Yeah. My that kind of got ruined for me because I could hear my brother. He's slightly ahead of me. I could hear him screaming from the other room. But nonetheless, that was big.
Yeah,
sorry,
get all that out of your
you were saying 3-pointers, Curry?
Just as quickly as that league is shifting towards the 3, I don't think that the efficiency and longevity will be there for some time to approach that record. I mean, it took long enough to get. Ray Allen was out of the league for not even a decade before that fell, but I think Curry and 3-point shooting are pretty synonymous. So I'd be surprised if we see that challenged by anybody anytime soon.
He's still got how many more years? He's
right with his game. It's not physical. He's not. Yeah, he's not in the paint often. So he's just kind of out there. He's had his ankle issues.
James Harden is out there in threes, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he's which again just goes to show, the increase in attempts of recent history. I think I forget where he's at, and he has no chance catching Curry, but he's higher than you would think.
He's third. He's 412 behind Ray Allen, but almost a good 500. He's a good 500 away from. He's 530, 32 from Steph. So
right, which with his injury issues lately, who knows?
Injury issues and lack of wanting to play, but
that too.
I don't know why, but that one surprises me. I never, for some reason, realized he was like that deadly of a 3-point shooter. But I also just don't pay that much attention to NBA. But
right, I mean, what the league is now, everybody shoots him, and guys like him, they're very high volume, so they're gonna fall.
Yeah.
So I knew he was top 5. I didn't think he was 3. That actually surprised me a bit. Yeah. Especially with this past year and last couple of years, actually struggling to stay on the court consistently.
A couple MVP years.
Oh, yeah. Houston, it was just that Houston stint was incredible. Thanks to my Thunder not wanting to pay him.
Yeah. He was the first domino.
That's not a fun trade to look back on. Kenyon Martin didn't quite do it for us, but I don't know if we're gonna catch Jacob. If we do, I might throw something here at the end to.
I don't think we are.
Get some bonus content, but we're at about an hour 15. That seems like a good place to call it.
It's been about an hour and a half since he said something, so.
That's true too.
So,
look out for. We do have a website. We're in development currently. I think it is published. We'll tweet it out. We're going to try and do some series recaps for Bailey and Jacob's Braves as well as my miserable Angels, and then get some MLB action up there for you too. Yep. If you guys are
come up with some blogs that would be interested in.
Right, get some things on digital paper. about our baseball teams who are in the news for very, very, very different reasons right now. But
yeah,
I still think two of the more polarizing teams for whatever reason in the league. So we'll try and get you guys up to speed with that.
Polar opposites. We might have a little recap of Grayson in a couple weekends, but when we go down to Atlanta, we'll probably do something.
Oh, absolutely. That'll be a little do a blog for you guys, but we'll get that out on our Twitter at the 1009, the O being the letter O. We're also on YouTube at the 1009 podcast. This will be our second episode up on the YouTube for you guys to enjoy. If for some reason you want to see our beautiful faces for in excess of an hour, but iTunes and Apple.
I don't blame me if you don't.
No, I would absolutely not blame you. We're on iTunes and Apple as well. If you guys are commuting, just need some white noise, anything like that. And in any event, we will be back with you a week from now. And look for some midweek content on the website.
Little All-Star preview. We also might, since the Derby is probably happening before, we could record during the Derby.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll probably tweet out our picks, just more content for you, like you were talking about earlier. So, like you said, check it out, the 1009 podcast on Twitter. I'm about to go sweat out these last 2 innings of this game.
We can't lose today because we don't play, so that's always a good day.
Yeah, it's getting good. So, big series before the All-Star break. So, we shall catch y'all next week. Hopefully, we have our third partner in crime next week. So,
yeah, see y'all next week.
Up in the air. Yep. Deuces.